The music swelled as guests turned toward the entrance, expecting the bride. Instead, a man stepped in alone, nervous smile, worn suit, eyes fixed on the little girl holding his hand. She wore a soft blue dress, hair carefully tied with a ribbon that didn't quite match. Her shoes were a size too big, but she walked like she belonged there. Whispers rippled through the room. "Who's that? Is he lost? Where's the mother?" The single dad felt every stare. He bent slightly, whispering, "You okay, sweetheart?" She nodded, squeezing his hand tighter. They took their seats near the back. The girl's feet dangled, swinging gently as she watched the lights sparkle above the dance floor. When the bride finally appeared, everyone stood, except her. She looked up at her father and tugged his sleeve. "Daddy," she said, loud enough to carry in the sudden hush, "is this where people promise not to leave?" A few heads turned. Someone smiled. Someone else frowned. "Yes," he whispered, throat tight. "That's what weddings are." She thought for a moment, then slid off the chair and walked, confidently, toward the aisle. The father stood up in panic. "Sweetheart." But she had already reached an elderly woman near the front, one of the bride's relatives, who leaned down kindly. "Aren't you precious?" the woman said. "How old are you, dear?" The girl didn't hesitate. She answered clearly. And the entire room froze. The girl looked up at the woman, her eyes calm in a way that didn't match her small frame. "I'm 7, she said, then added softly, "but I've been waiting since I was 4. The smile on the woman's face faded. A few nearby guests leaned in, curiosity sharpening into concern. "Waiting for what, sweetheart?" the woman asked gently. "For my dad to stop being sad." A murmur spread through the room. The father reached them, breath unsteady. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "She doesn't mean to interrupt." "Yes, I do," the girl said, turning to him. She took his hand, then faced the woman again. "My mommy used to wear a dress like this. She said weddings are where people promise forever." The room went quiet. Even the music seemed too loud now. The woman swallowed. "And where is your mommy, dear?" The girl pointed to her chest. "Here. Daddy says she lives there now." The father closed his eyes. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. "She asked to come today," he finally said to the woman, to the room, to himself. "She said she wanted to see people be happy again." The bride, watching from the side, wiped a tear from her cheek. The groom reached for her hand. The little girl tugged her father closer and whispered, still loud enough for many to hear, "Daddy, if you ever promise someone forever again, can I stand next to you?" And this time, no one whispered. They just listened. The officiant cleared his throat, trying to regain the flow, but the moment had already shifted. The bride stepped forward, lifting the edge of her gown as she knelt in front of the little girl. "What's your name?" she asked softly. "Lily," the girl replied. "That's a beautiful name," the bride said, voice trembling. "You're right. This is where people promise not to leave." Lily nodded, serious. "My dad kept his promise. Even when it was hard." Every eye turned to the father. He stood frozen, hands shaking, years of exhaustion written across his face. He hadn't planned to be seen like this. He had only come to support a cousin, sit quietly, leave early. But Lily wasn't done. She looked around the room, then asked the question that no one expected. Do grown-ups stop loving when someone goes away, or do they just get scared to promise again? The silence was heavy. The groom exhaled slowly. The officiant lowered his book. A woman in the second row wiped her eyes openly. The father finally knelt beside his daughter. "Sometimes," he said, voice breaking, "grown-ups are afraid of breaking what's left." Lily thought about that, then smiled, small but brave. "Then today is good practice," she said. Because everyone here is being brave. A soft laugh rippled through the guests, mixed with tears. The bride stood, took a deep breath, and looked at the officiant. "We'd like her to stay," she said. "Right here. With us." And as Lily took her place beside the couple, holding her father's finger tightly, the wedding didn't just continue. It became something else entirely. Lily stood between the bride and groom, her small hand still hooked around her father's finger as if it were an anchor. The officiant smiled softly. "Well," he said, voice warm now, "I think we all needed this reminder." He looked down at Lily. "Do you know what promises are?" She nodded. "They're words you have to take care of." A quiet murmur of approval moved through the room. As the vows resumed, Lily listened carefully, lips moving as if she were memorizing every sentence. When the groom promised to stay, in sickness and in health, Lily squeezed her father's hand. When the bride said, "For as long as we both shall live," Lily looked up and whispered, "That's the forever part." The father felt his chest tighten. He hadn't realized how tightly he'd locked away his own belief in forever. Then Lily surprised everyone again. She tugged gently on the officiant's sleeve. "Excuse me," she said politely. "Can my dad make a promise too?" A soft laugh escaped the crowd, but Lily was serious. The officiant raised an eyebrow, smiling. "What kind of promise?" She turned to her father, eyes shining. "Promise you'll keep dancing with me. Even when the music stops." The father dropped to one knee, unable to hold back the tears now. He cupped her face and nodded. "I promise," he said. "Always." The room erupted in applause, not loud, but deep, heartfelt. And for the first time in years, the father felt something loosen inside him. Hope had found its way back. After the ceremony, the music changed, lighter, happier, and guests drifted toward the reception hall. Laughter slowly replaced the hush that had held everyone moments before. Lily stayed close to her father, fingers brushing his sleeve as if to make sure he was still real. At the edge of the dance floor, the DJ announced, "First dance for the bride and groom." As they began to sway, Lily tilted her head. "Daddy," she asked, "is this the dancing you promised?" He smiled through the tightness in his chest. "This is one kind of it." The song ended to applause, and before the DJ could speak again, Lily stepped forward. "Can I have the next dance with my dad?" she asked, clear and fearless. The room stilled for half a heartbeat, then the DJ nodded. "I think that's a yes." Soft music filled the hall. The father hesitated, then took Lily's hand. She placed her head against his chest, just like she used to when she was smaller. "You're doing great," she whispered. He laughed quietly. "You're the brave one." As they moved slowly, guests watched with misty eyes. Phones were lowered. No one wanted to interrupt the moment. Halfway through the song, Lily looked up and asked the question that made several people gasp. "Daddy, if Mommy can't dance anymore, is it okay if you dance again someday?" He stopped. Then he held her a little closer and nodded. "Yes," he said. "When the music feels right again." Lily smiled, satisfied. And the room understood, healing doesn't rush. It dances. That day, people didn't remember the flowers, the food, or the perfect vows. They remembered a little girl who taught a room full of adults what love really means. Love doesn't end when someone leaves. Promises don't disappear when hearts break. And being strong doesn't mean never hurting, it means choosing to stay open anyway. A single father walked into a wedding carrying grief. He walked out carrying hope. And everyone who witnessed it learned the same quiet lesson. Sometimes, the smallest voices remind us that forever isn't about never losing. It's about never stopping love.